In the Yellow Jackets Season 3 finale, a sequence involving Callie Sadecki, Sarah Desjardins, and Lottie Matthews, Simone Kessel, poses fascinating queries regarding the outdoors. Lottie has been captivated by Callie since she first met her at the conclusion of Yellow Jackets Season 2. Lottie and Callie seem to be getting closer during her early Season 3 stay at the Sadecki house, but their connection ended abruptly when Lottie was discovered dead at the conclusion of Yellow Jackets Season 3, Episode 4. Since she doesn't think her old teammate's death was an accident, Misty Quigley, Christina Ricci, has been leading the investigation into what happened to Lottie. It appeared that Callie's mother, Shauna, Melanie Linsky, was the murderer of Lottie based on the evidence that Misty and Walter Tattersall, Elijah Wood, discovered. Rather, it turns out that Callie killed Lottie by accident. Because mothers and daughters share mitochondrial DNA, it was believed that the DNA discovered beneath Lottie's fingernails belonged to Shauna. More importantly, Yellow Jacket's future is greatly impacted by what Lottie says before she passes away. What Callie being the child of the wilderness really means? Because Lottie stole the recording that was delivered to Shauna, Callie goes to meet her. Lottie is certain that Callie is merely using the tape as a pretext to visit, and that her true purpose is to have a more profound understanding of her mother. Lottie then discusses how Callie is a child of the wilderness, and how Shauna and Callie both have a strong connection to the wilderness. As evidence of the wilderness residing within her, and the fact that she is a product of that location, Lottie cites Callie's shooting in the Yellow Jackets Season 2 finale and her drugging of Misty earlier in Season 3. According to Lottie, Callie represents the apex of all that transpired in the forest following the Yellow Jackets plane accident. Lottie refers to the child that was lost by teenage Shauna, Sophie Nalise, as our baby, and claims that Callie was sent by nature in its place. Lottie observes that Callie shares Shauna's anger and desire for dominance. Despite not having been born in the wilderness, Callie embodies the qualities that Lottie believes define it, and she is essentially a better version of Shauna throughout her time there. Why the wilderness wants Shauna's children so badly? The wilderness is obsessed with Shauna's kids and expects a lot of them, according to the world as seen by Lottie. Lottie now views Callie as a live representation of the woods, after it took Shauna's first kid. It makes sense that Lottie believes this power would also dwell in her children, since she perceives the wilderness living through Shauna. Lottie's belief that Shauna's first child was taken by the wilderness may be explained by her belief that sacrifice is the solution to all problems. Callie, the second child, now to act as the predator rather than the prey. All of Yellow Jacket's survivors, including Shauna, are said to have lost contact with the outdoors after being rescued, with the exception of Lottie. The aspects of Shauna that flourished in the wild waned inside her and were instead transferred to Callie. This is Lottie's perspective, and Yellow Jackets keeps obfuscating the distinction between whether her twisted belief in the wilderness is legitimate or the product of unresolved trauma and underlying medical conditions. Lottie uses her belief in the forest as a coping mechanism. Did the wilderness make Callie kill Lottie? Lottie's death is mostly caused by Callie's anxiety, rage, and the bad example Shauna has set for her. Naturally frightened and offended by Lottie's remarks, Callie pulls her away as she approaches him physically. Since Shauna has set an example where she uses murder and deceit to solve many of her problems, it is not shocking that Callie follows suit when she finds herself in a tight spot. Callie has learned from her mother, but Shauna does not want her daughter to do it. Naturally, Lottie would argue that this is another significant instance of the wilderness showing up in Callie if she had the chance to talk about what transpired. As Lottie flies backward, her countenance shows surprise, but there's also a part of her that's amazed and relieved. Her final thoughts are most likely that Callie killed her in the forest and that Callie has now replaced her. However, this conclusion disproves Callie's agency because she chooses to push and kill Lottie rather than a supernatural entity doing so. What Callie being more than Shauna means for Yellow Jackets Season 4. During their final minutes together, Lottie reveals something very interesting. Callie is just like Shauna, only more. It appears like Lottie thinks Callie is a better person than Shauna was in the wilderness. Shauna gained a lot of power and was able to make her peers fearful. But in the end, Shauna was unable to maintain order among them all and to keep the troop in the wilderness. Maybe Lottie believes Callie can successfully accomplish what her mother started but couldn't finish. Callie might turn into a contemporary antler queen and return the surviving animals to their rightful place in the wild. But without Lottie, there won't be someone to lead Callie down this route because most of the other survivors don't share her passion for the outdoors. One potential candidate is Melissa, Hilary Swank, who seems to still believe in the wilderness based on her remarks after killing Van Palmer, Lauren Ambrose. Melissa might turn into a perverse mentor who helps Callie become more than Shauna. The narrative of Yellow Jackets Season 4 can shed further light on whether the wilderness actually possesses any power, particularly in light of Lottie's departure. Callie undoubtedly has some serious problems that she has to resolve, but these problems might be more related to her connection with Shauna than the environment itself. As Callie's journey progresses in Yellow Jackets Season 4, more problems will arise regardless of the truth about the wilderness, and she may turn into an even more dangerous figure if she ignores these problems.